All right. With all that, kind of teeing us up for our movie review, let's get into that. Um, and this week, our movie for this week is Clash of the Titans from 1981, starring what's his face, Harry Hamlin. Harry Hamlin. Harry, goddamn him. I'm just. All right. Let me just give a quick synopsis. Perseus, son of the Greek god Zeus, grows up on a deserted island. His destiny is to marry Princess Andromeda, who will someday rule the city of Joppa. But as long as the satyr Calibus, who uses a giant vulture to kidnap Andromeda's soul every night, is alive, no one can marry her. Perseus travels to Joppa, where he must defeat Calibus and other mythological monsters to rescue Andromeda.
Yep.
And by the way, Zeus is played by Laurence Olivier,
who is also in Lawrence of Arabia.
Exactly. Yeah. It all comes back full circle.
Who in the remake was also played by Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's.
But
release the Kraken.
Already in I like this film way better than last week because it has a story.
Well, yes, because there's an actual story this time.
Well, similar to like Jason and the Argonauts, it's based off of Greek mythology.
Of the hero Perseus, son of Zeus.
And it's just kind of like it's a tale of tragedy. Yeah, there's also like a lot of redemption, vengeance, jealousy, jealousy amongst the gods, and kind of like how that jealousy and rage kind of plays within like how because the gods are jealous of one another or pissed off with one another, they battle it out using mankind, and mankind is kind of the playthings or for the
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's perfectly. I think Jason and the Argonauts used that motif too, and it's not surprising that it kind of there's like a that it appears in this movie because because we're doing Ray Harryhausen movies this month, that there'd be some overlap, but like the idea of humans being like these like little either like chess pieces or little figurines that are that are able to be manipulated by the gods.
Well, that's also like that's a common trope in Greek mythology too.
Right.
But like
I think the specific way that that they're depicted in the movies is is just indicative of Harryhausen's involvement.
That I would agree with, because we don't see like an actual chessboard in Greek mythology, but this is how Harryhausen depicted it, how he saw it.
Right. I remember watching this movie as a young man, particularly in high school, because I think in my English or literature class we were doing Greek myths. We did the Odyssey, or maybe it was the Iliad, or regardless, our teacher played this movie for us, because it was again about a Greek myth, so it was right within the wheelhouse.
Right.
But I remember enjoying this movie, even back then, and even today, I still enjoyed the movie.
So I saw the new adaptation of it with Liam Neeson, and I think it was the guy that was in the Spartacus show. I think he's dead now.
Oh no, he was in Avatar. Sam Worthington.
That's it. Okay, I get those two guys mixed up. They kind of look alike.
They do look very similar, though. I know what you're talking about. They do look very similar.
But yeah, so I mean, so I saw that one, and it's like I said, I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing there's like, oh, I didn't realize that there was one from the 80s. So this is actually my first time watching the 80s version of it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is, I think this is the last of Harryhausen's film. I think this is the last one
Right.
that
This
he
is the
ever did.
last film in his filmography. This is the last film he worked on.
Yeah. And it is a perfection of his stop motion
Right.
animation. I mean, it's
All of
just
his techniques. It's like it's all the refinements that he did, like in all the other movies and and all the other like little projects that he's did. Little refinements here and there, and like it culminates in Clash of the Titans.
yeah, and it's obviously like when the remake was done, there was no stop motion, because we have CG, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't bad, but just to think about what was accomplished in this with the stop motion animation, and um, it was just it's one of the best ones. It's easily, I think, his best, but I think it's one of the best stop motion um, sequences in a film that I've ever seen. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All the
The,
creature design, like especially like when they were fighting the giant scorpions. That I think like the synchronization was really great. You actually
right,
believe, and I think like they got the lighting down like pretty spot on. So like it looked like the giant scorpions were in the same um, frame as the human actors. And
right, and you feel like they're actually fighting
right, yeah,
these.
exactly. So they were reacting like they're reacting to like or like they did the motion for the scorpion to perfectly sync up with like the reaction of the actor, and so yeah, like very good like very good technique on display in this movie.
Yeah, and well, in through this month, we've gone from going and seeing one of his very early films, Jason the Argonaut, which is really good,
Mm-hmm.
to his last piece, and you see the progress. Even when we watched 1 Million BC, we saw the because that was 3 years after Jason the
Right, yeah.
Argonaut, so we
Throughout
went
this, yeah,
and this is
exactly.
like we see the perfection, and
Right,
it's like
right.
kind of like a good kind of like salute to the end of. And it doesn't hurt that like all the characters I think were portrayed very well. It's a story, and there's really not that much that you have to do as far as story wise, because the story's already there. So
Mm-hmm.
you're able to kind of like play around more with the cinematography, and casting like the right characters that can play these guys. And I will say that some of the musical choices were for the soundtrack were a little odd. If
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was like some of the more cheery tones in the film,
Uh-huh.
like as far as like like through the credit scene, and there's a couple of points like where it's kind of like a happier moments. It felt like I was watching like Never Ending Story. It was just the way the music was played up. It's like, or it felt like I was watching some like 80s sitcom or something like that.
Right.
Um, well, the soundtrack was done, I think, by the London Symphony Orchestra. If I saw the credits correctly, and but overall, like the soundtrack was really good too for it. And yeah, it's a great story, and just learning, seeing the stories of Perseus and Andromeda and the Greek gods come to life. Were It's really cool.
Yeah.
I love Greek mythology. I think it's really cool. It's a very interesting like storyline, and
Yeah. But I'm with you, and this technically that this is you're seeing all. I mean, if you see all of the Harryhausen movies, you see this is like the absolute refinement of all the techniques that we've seen previously in his other movies. From like the skeletons to the dinosaurs to or even before what was it? Even before Jason the Argonauts, and he worked on King Kong. You see all of that, work, beforehand, and you see it, the absolute, uh, final form, as it were, Pokemon reference um, in this movie, and it's great, and it's absolutely great, and it's. I think it was really, I think it was like one of those movies where it's like, you end a career on. It's like, there it is.
I will say my favorite scene, or my favorite part of the film, was the fight with them and Medusa. Like
Mm.
you, that was that was a very tense
Right? Yeah,
situation.
it was
And
a
so,
very tense scene because.
yeah, in the stop motion, well, the look of Medusa she looked fantastic. I thought it was really well done, and the stop motion with her and and Perseus was like, it was just really good.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I believe that like he was actually fighting something, not like, it wasn't just some like, you know, it didn't feel like fake or anything like that. It felt like a really,
Mhm.
it was just a great segment of the movie.
Right. Yeah. For me, the only kind of odd choice was the end, where there was no dialogue. It was just all kind of like this reaction, but like no one was like, no one was kind of like none of the characters like were narrating the scene. Usually, when the Kraken comes and then all of a sudden Perseus comes, but no one says like, look, it's Perseus. No one like they react to Perseus, showing up, but no one like exclaims like, "Oh, there's Perseus, he's arrived," and cheers. It's just silent. No, like everyone is like kind of reacting, but no one speaks. And I think that's a really weird kind of choice to have, especially for like the climax of the film.
Yeah, you would think that like, oh, and another person we forgot to talk about who's in this film is Burgess Meredith.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Burgess Meredith or Meredith Burgess.
it's over, Perseus. Yes.
Yeah, it was hilarious. That's how I was expecting him to sound, but he actually sounded like this, refined, dignified, thespian from ancient
Well,
Greece.
yeah, because he was the original Penguin in
Oh, that's right.
in
That's
the
right. That's right.
he's been in various Twilight Zone episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
he's done a lot. He's actually a really good actor.
Wait,
I like him a lot.
was he the glasses guy?
Um,
There's
yes,
time now.
yeah, that was him.
Okay, yeah, okay. Oh
Um,
yeah, that's right. Jeez.
but yeah, no, it's like it's over, Perseus.
Yeah, it's over. It's over, Perseus. Pack it in.
But no, he was great in the film. But you think that, yeah, because he was there, like you think he would have reacted as like, oh, it's Perseus, all right, it's kind of to
Yeah,
save the
yeah.
day.
No,
But
like
yeah,
no one was narrating the scene, which not saying that you have to, but it's like here's the climax of the film, and like the princess is doomed, but then all of a sudden the hero arrives, and he's like, you just kind of see like these reaction shots of them looking, and then it cuts to like Perseus riding Pegasus, coming in to save the day, but no one's like, yeah, like even like, yeah, like Burgess Meredith's character doesn't go, it's Perseus, or like or like the queen at the prospect of her daughter like being eaten by this kraken doesn't like scream or shriek, or
it makes me
or sound relieved when Perseus shows up to save her daughter.
it makes me wonder like if maybe that's kind of what they were going for, and thinking that like, okay, if let's say this was really happening, that where it's people are like so just like in shock that they can't say anything, like they don't know what to do. And you were
Mm-hmm.
seeing like Perseus come in and just like it's too overwhelming for there to be any sort of speech or like sound made.
Maybe, but it's still hella weird.
But like I said, in a movie setting, like there should have been something maybe a little bit more there. I agree. I agree with you, Andy. But it is that would just be like maybe that was maybe the thought process behind that.
Mm. Yeah, because I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they didn't, have enough money to pay the writers for the ending, or but it's like you could have just told them like, yeah, kind of react how if it was a very dire situation, like Queen, your daughter is going to be eaten by this kraken. Burgess Meredith, I forget what his character's name is, but you know this young boy who you took it under your wing is like returns right in the nick of time. You should kind of react. It's not just like kind of looking down, and then kind of like oh, just seeing him out of the corner of your eye, but like not having a reaction. It's like
I believe he Burgess Meredith played his character's name was Ammon.
probably. Yeah, let me just look at the cast. Where's that? Yeah, Aman. He played the thespian Ammon. Oh yeah, and Maggie Smith, for all you Potterheads out there, was in this movie as well. A young Maggie Smith.
Very young. Yeah, I knew I recognized her.
Yeah, she was a looker. I mean, I could always kind of tell. Even though I only remember her from like, when she was like kind of old.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I remember her from. But yeah, I was like,
But even still, you could tell like if looking at her, you could tell that she was a tasty piece back in the day, and she was.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
The
she
chick who
played
played
the
Andromeda.
goddess Thetis, which was the mother of
Yep.
the antagonist Calibus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Ursula Anders was Aphrodite.
Yep.
Yeah, for those of you who are Bond fans, from what Bond movie was she in?
Oh,
I know it's one of the Sean Connery ones.
I forget which one she was in off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a Bond girl. Was it the chick who played Andromeda? She was a looker.
Oh yeah, she was hot. Judy, Judy Bowker.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Yeah,
surprise nudity
but
in
this
this
is still
film
a great
too.
movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprise nudity in this film too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, a lot
There
of
was the
yeah. First,
there was that best in the beginning, and then
yeah,
you
Percy's
see Andromeda.
mom. Yeah, Percy's mom,
Yep.
Danae. Yeah, it's like yeah. There's a scene where she's breastfeeding Perseus. And then like I don't know why Andromeda goes back to be sacrificed. She was out with Perseus to go collect the head of Medusa, but then she's like, and then Perseus decides to be noble and goes and to go get the head without her because to keep her safe, but she decides to head back so she can get sacrificed, the Kraken.
So, well, remember the reasoning is
Oh,
because they had 30 days to they either so they had two choices. There was either she could, run away, but then the entire, town of Joppa would be destroyed.
Right.
They could either, or she could sacrifice herself and everyone would be saved, or they could destroy the Kraken. And so
Right. 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 Right.
she was allowing herself to be sacrificed because she cared for her people. She's a princess, so she has to do that. She can't let her
Right.
people
Right. Right.
just
Right.
be killed for her.
That's what it was. That's right. I was like, I totally forgot about like other conditions. I was like, man, if I was her, I would have just broken out.
Yeah.
I forgot
But yeah,
about the
like
whole
the
like,
whole
oh, if you don't get sacrificed, I'm gonna destroy your city.
but then like yeah, them going back, like there's nothing really like we're kind of how everything transpired, like how they all got back, like that's not shown or seen it because pretty much it cuts from Perseus fighting Medusa, and then like on their way back, like Pegasus is kidnapped by Calibos,
Mm-hmm.
but after the fight with Calibos, like he kind of collapses and doesn't he's not sure he's gonna make it in time, and like has to go back and like do all this stuff, and it's just yeah, it's kind of like wild how that all comes about, but it's so it's a couple interesting choices of how they did it, but overall it was a pretty damn good movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, another thing I was thinking about, like, because one of the terms of the sacrifice was, that she had to remain a virgin.
Yeah, that
So
was
I would
the
have
other
been like
one.
thinking, oh, so you're saying that if she's not a virgin, she's not suitable? So I would.
I thought that too. Like, so what happens if she's not?
I know. So right. So you're saying that she has to be. So you're saying to be acceptable as a sacrifice that she has to be a virgin.
I wonder. I wonder if like
Hmm.
I wonder if what if they had, let's say that had happened, like I wonder if they would have put on a curse like they did with Calibos, like where they just kind of,
Oh. Yeah.
but we don't know because
Yeah. We don't know.
well, Andy, how would you rate this film?
Um.
Or do you have any final thoughts before your rating?
Oh no. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give this movie a 3.5.
We are thinking alike today because I also am going to give it a 3.5.
Right. I mean, it's still a good movie, and I still would recommend it to people. But it's like, seeing it again as an adult and like just noticing, like how you were saying, like some of the soundtrack choices was kind of weird. And then also at the end, where like they have no dialogue whatsoever, even when they should be seemingly reacting to these fantastical things that happen. Yeah, so got to ding it for that too. But yeah, other than that, still a solid movie. I definitely uh, would tell people to watch it. Even maybe a little bit more so than like the remake.
I see the reason I would say I agree with you because I think what was accomplished in this film, yeah, is more. I think it's better than just like the CG. Not that that's not like a skill or that it or anything like that,
Right.
but it. I think it took a lot more technique and especially to get like those fight scenes with the stop motion animation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy thing to do, like to make that look realistic.
Right,
Even
because
I think that's
even
harder
the
than
even the
even
antagonist Calibus was partly stop motion as well because because they decided to make his feet hooved. And so they, back then
right.
they didn't have the technology. They could have got. They did his face, and they were able to do the prosthesis. So there were shots where it was just like the actor wearing, the makeup and the prosthetics, but there's no way for them to do like the whole body with like the hoof, feet, and things like that. So
right.
yeah, so it was amazing that they were able to do like this hybrid technique where it's like partly like actor, partly stop motion.
And that's not an easy thing to do.
Right, and that's not easy. It's a very labor intensive and laborious feat to accomplish.
Right, and I think that's why like we don't see really the stop motion much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I think this guy, well, Ray Harryhausen was probably inspired by King Kong and what they accomplished in that film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ray Harryhausen was the person that probably inspired Tim Burton to do when he did like his stop motion stuff. Although,
oh right, like
Tim
Nightmare
Burton's
Before Christmas or Corpse Bride.
right, but that was all stop motion. So, I mean, there's been a few, like Coraline is another one of those films. You have, I'm trying to think. There's been a few other ones that are like that, but
Mm-hmm.
outside, you don't really see stop motion anymore. It's kind of like it's kind of a dead art.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just because of just how labor intensive it really is,
Mm-hmm.
that it just doesn't get done anymore. And this is really one of the last great stop motion films that's out there.
Mm-hmm. True. All right. Well, there you have it. That's our review. Both Robert and I give this a 3.5. Definitely go. Definitely check it out. Definitely watch this. It's a great film. Especially if you're interested in Greek mythology. I think it tends to stay true to the original tale of Perseus and Medusa. So, points for that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
go watch it. It's
yeah,
great.
go watch.
I recommend it. Even with like in the problems we had where it's ticky tack stuff. Overall,
Right,
like
right, right,
just
right.
go watch it. It's a great movie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, our 3.5 shouldn't be like our endorsement of saying it was a whatever film. It's like we're really kind of nitpicking at like maybe creative choices that they took, or maybe just like like limited budget, so they couldn't afford. Um, maybe they're using like stock like music or something because they couldn't necessarily afford the orchestra like one more day or whatever.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So yeah, so just very like yeah. Again, we're nitpicking, but still, we still endorse this movie, and do recommend it highly.